Okay, now we're going to look at our last type, power of quotients. And that would look like, so quotient means answer to a division problem, so that would look like having x to the fourth over x to the first, so let's say. And then, so what that looks like is that means on the top of our fraction, x to the fourth means we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 x's. On the bottom I just have 1. And then, like when we do a lot of things, how we can simplify, I can cancel out 1x from the top with 1x from the bottom. And that's because x divided by x is 1. Similar to how, like, if I say 5 divided by 5 equals 1, so kind of we say it cancels out, it's really turning into 1. So I can divide x and x and make 1, so we say that x cancels out. So then what's left? I have 3 x's, and they're all on top. If there were to be any x left on the bottom, I'd put them down here, but I actually have none left. I could always put a 1, or I could just say x to the third. And let's look at another example just to make sure on this one. Let's say I have y to the fifth over y to the seventh. So on this one, on the top I have 5 y's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On the bottom I have 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I'm going to start canceling. Cancel y and y, y and y, y and y, y and y, y and y. Just be careful how we cancel. So on this one, I have no y's left on top. So just like we did up in this with the x's, when I had no x's on the bottom, I put a 1 for a placeholder. Well, I have no y's on top, so I put a 1 for a placeholder. I have 2 y's left on the bottom, so that's 1 over y. So our shortcut then is we're going to subtract. So let's look at these x's again. I got 3. Well, that comes from 4 minus 1. So we're going to subtract the exponents when we're dividing. And then we will learn more about this one later. But if I subtract these and say 7 minus 5, I end up with 2. But where are the extra 2 at? There's 2 more on the bottom. That's why these 2 end up on the bottom. And again, we'll learn more about that in another lesson. Let's look at some examples of this. So in number 16, that bottom 6 does not have an exponent, but we can make it 1. We can put a 1 there. And then we're going to subtract. So 5 minus 1 is 6 to the fourth. I could say 6 to the fourth over 1, but I can also just simplify that to say 6 to the fourth. And then I'm going to subtract 8 minus 6 is 4 to the second. So we did 8 minus 6 and got 2. I think this is just a typo. This is supposed to say x to the fifth. And then, so I can subtract, and 5 minus 3 is 2. But where are the extra 2? There's more x's on the bottom, so those 2 I got are going to be on the bottom. So I'm going to put a 1 for a placeholder on the top. And again, we will go more into problems like this later. Let's see, make that a 1. 5 minus 1 is 2 to the fourth. And then we already covered those kind of problems in our last video.